Hi everyone, I'm Joanna.
And I'm Jenny.
And this is Hyphenated, the podcast about living in the hyphen. Today we have a really, really special guest and I'm actually fangirling like crazy. But before we get to her, I'm freaking out. Before we get to her, Jenny, has in your life as a influencer, comedian, have you ever stumbled upon someone that you're like, I can't believe you've seen my content. Like you're not the target I thought I was hitting. And here you are. And I don't understand how you got here. How did you get to my work?
It's usually when it's hella white people. I don't know how to categorize what is a hella white person. And I understand that I'm using Bay Area. A lot of Bay Area people say hella. It's hella white. They're hella white. Because, my content is, specifically Cuban American, Caribbean, Miami centric, but it's not shocking when a Black person or an Asian person or any BIPOC person in general, relates. Or it's also not shocking when it's like an Italian or a Jewish person.
It's like all of those people have crazy grandmas.
Pretty
therefore,
much. Yeah. So I'm like, oh yeah, of course Haitians can relate, or of course, Greeks can relate to this stuff. But when I've gotten stopped by purely white people, when I mean by purely white people, I just mean
no immigrant blood.
No,
they got here on the Mayflower. They're Mayflower white.
Here. Yeah, they are Mayflower white. They have been here for a long time. Maybe they have some British or Dutch or Swedish in their background. They're just super white. And, these are the kind of people that you would think would not know the difference between Cuba and Mexico. Yet here they are saying they consume my content. And they're like, oh my God, I love it. Like my husband and I watch it all the time. Thank you for the subtitles.
So sometimes I'll go on my YouTube channel and I look at the countries that my content is being consumed. And I'm always kind of shocked. I'm like, who in Kazakhstan is like my fan? Because I have Kazakhstan always in my information on YouTube views. I have Croatia, and I'm just like, here I am, a Venezuelan American person. And for some reason, Ulog somewhere in Sweden is watching my stuff, and it's always shocking to me. People particularly that make cultural content or stuff that's very specific to our experiences, it's always kind of shocking. And it happened to me in person one time where I was in Sevilla, España, tía, y estaba en el sur de España, and I was going up a tower in a church, the most touristy thing in the world, and this Korean girl stops me. And she goes, Joanna. And I'm like, I'm trying to make sense of what is happening. And then she talks to me in Spanish with a Korean accent. And she's like, I'm your fan. I love your work. I'm trying to learn Spanish. And I used your videos to learn Spanish. And never in my mind, while I was shooting this in a studio, was I like, this Korean girl in South Korea is going to watch my videos and is going to stop me in Spain. But it sort of felt like this crazy, how globalized content is becoming, and how you're not just performing in front of whoever you're performing in front of. You can perform in front of the world. Content and music and art has become so globalized. This is where I segue into our guest today because I'm so excited to have this person here. So one time, Jenny, I was on YouTube and I stumbled upon this song and I started listening to it. And this singer, performed the shit out of this song. There's a part where she goes into falsetto. It's almost like watching someone pole vault with their voice. And then I just became completely consumed with her content and with her songs. And then I scrolled down. I'm like, where's this person from? I'm so confused because I scrolled down and I started looking at the comments. And these comments are it's like the Torre de Babel, the Babel's Tower. Is that what it is in English?
The Tower of Babel.
The tower with all of the languages all translated. That's what her comment section was like. It was Greek, Korean, a lot of Latinos,
Damn.
claiming this person as theirs. And then come to find this person is from Brooklyn. So I'm obviously talking about LP. And that was a really long introduction that is a segue to Jenny's legitimate introduction with more information and not just about my experience.
LP is a singer-songwriter who released her major label debut album in 2014. The album featured the breakthrough track Into the Wild. Her follow-up album, Lost on You, featured the international hit title track. LP frequently does what very few, if any, U.S. artists can do on the road internationally. As an example, in just 1 month, she toured 17 Russian and Ukrainian cities.
I mean, I didn't know there was that many Russian and Ukrainian cities.
Mira, yo tampoco. The more you know. She's also huge in Mexico and all over Latin America. In addition to recording her own songs, LP has written or co-written for superstar artists, including Cher, Rihanna, the Backstreet Boys, Leona Lewis, Celine Dion, For the Love of God, and Christina Aguilera. She has a new single coming out this month and a new album scheduled for release at the end of this year.
LP!
Tone it the fuck down, please. Thank you.
It's kind of insane, LP, that you are so specifically popular in places that have nothing to do with each other. Like, you tell me Poland and Mexico like the same person, and I'm like, please explain this to me. Like,
you know where you're really popular, where no one knows what the hell you're saying. That's great. You should be very proud of yourself. You're a wordsmith. You're very articulate. Yeah.
I have when you started your music career, were you consciously kind of like, oh, I want to like appeal to a global audience? Or did this sort of surprise you as you were going?
So surprising. I mean,
yeah.
It was like, all right, like even like when the first country that started playing Lost on You was Greece. And that was only because it was like early days of Instagram for me. I mean, I think, what year did Instagram start? Like,
I don't know.
2014 or some shit? I don't know. I don't remember. Well, I wasn't, I checked it, but I didn't really check direct messages. I wasn't like kind of like scouring my direct messages for any kind of like information. But I went in there one day and someone was offering me a show somewhere, and it was like kind of like Lost Money or whatever. I was like, oh shit, I should really check these DMs. And then I went in there one day, and it was this label that from Greece, and it reminded me, they are called like Cobalt or something like that, but spelled different than Cobalt here, and Cobalt is a very important publisher here. So I was like, oh shit, click. And then it's a Greek label actually, and they're like, and the guy's like, hey, I've been trying to get in touch with your label, but I can't. No one's answering me back, and I really think your music would work here, and would I be able to, would you mind giving me your publisher's email or your manager's? And I said, of course, yeah, here you go. And then because he said he wanted to license it, and I didn't know what licensing was there. I thought licensing at the time was just to give it to get it in a movie or a series or something. But it turns out like a label from somewhere can try to license a song or an album through another label, if they let them, and then like service it to their country. And so went out there, and I just forgot about it. And then 2 months later, my manager told me it was charting in Greece, and I was like in what I don't know what that means. Was it charting of what? She's like, it's on the radio. It's like on the charts, And then it just kept going. Then Italy wanted to license it, and then France wanted to license it, and the label I was on at the time was BMG, because they bought this indie label Vagrant I was on, and they were like cool, and then they're like Sleeping Giant kind of was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, we need to get on this, but then they let us do it, and then it just spread around all these places, and it was a phenomenon. It was like I love like looking at people's careers, and I'm like kind of a connoisseur of people's careers, because that's interesting to me, and it also encouraged me that everybody's career happens kind of different. And so it's kind of nice. It's cool for me, because I'm like, wow, my career happens so weird and such a different thing. Like, and people have tried to, I remember like labels were kind of like, we'll just release something in Greece and then it'll catch like wildfire. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, no, it's not going to do that. I'm sorry. I'm like a king of potty mouth. But,
you got two princesses of potty mouth here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, people always try to like redo. The Duchess.
The Duchess of fuck. Yeah, absolutely.
The Duchess of fuck. Wow, I feel like I want to date the Duchess of fuck. But yeah, anyway, sounds like a good time. Maybe you've met my wife, the Duchess of fuck. Classy.
What's the most like surprising moment in your career where you were like, what the fuck is like, how did I get here?
I think Russia was very surprising to me because, you know, we grew up with like such a, like, with Russia being so like, what a weird place. What a, like, you know, like cold. It's cold there. Everyone's cold and it's
cold.
And
the war is cold.
Yeah,
all of it is
cold. It's as cold as the war and worse, you know, and like, and they're just like people, you know, like, I mean, I was just so like, I was not shocked is not the right word, but I was like, I was so pleasantly surprised that like, you know, they hear the same thing about us, you know, and also just like, you know, I mean, I don't know, you know, I mean, the gay thing is a little weird, you know, like I was like friends of mine were like, so let me get this straight. You are doing well in Russia. Like, how is that possible? And I was like, shh, I don't know, you know, and I think it's also because I just don't, you know, I don't myself, like I want to live in a diverse world, and I want people, you know, I don't condone hatred of any kind, but I also know that, like, you know, people have, you know, grow up like sheltered, or like not even sheltered, just in their own thing, and they have to kind of be in their own thing. And I think, you know, if you could bring some kind of difference into their, you know, some kind of new color into their world, and not force feed the issue or whatever, you know, and maybe just kind of like take it easy and kind of, you know, I believe that even though I'm very into change, obviously, and I know things have to change, some things immediately, but there's also like some element of like a glacial pace in how we kind of bring enlightenment to like the world, and like show people that there are, you know, that, yeah, you may not agree with this person's politics or their, you know, how they like live their lives and their sexuality or whatever, but it doesn't mean that, you know, you have to throw a bunch of hate at them. You know, it's like, I'm not trying to like, you know, seduce your sister or your daughter or anything, you know. I just living my life, singing songs. Do you like songs? Here's a song for you. You know, like, I don't know. I just kind of try to kind of coast like that and just be an example of what I'd like to see more of in the world, and not to exclusion of other things, you know.
Just through existing and through your work. It's just like...
Yeah, and, you know, and maybe I don't push enough. I think some people have a super agenda, but I think sometimes you can lose things along the way, and sometimes when you know, slow and steady wins the race a little bit sometimes.
Maybe Putin is like, you know, jamming out to One Last Time, and he's like, yo, maybe this whole like, you know, homophobia, I should rethink, because this is hot.
Well, one of the guys, I mean, one of the like the one of the deputy prime ministers of Russia saw me in a show and was always at my shows, you know.
Wait, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if it's cool if I talk about it. I don't think he is anymore, but yeah, but it's like very, you know, and I remember, you know, because he would send me all these singers that he loved, you know, when he was young, like, you know, in the 80s and stuff like that. And they were all like big song, kind of big voice kind of singers. And then I understood it, you know, and it was just, I don't know, it's cool. He used to come bring like 6 dozen roses to like my dressing room, you know, just his kids. And he was a, you know, lovely guy, even though, I mean, I don't know what he did behind closed doors, but he's always lovely to me. So,
interesting.
You know, what am I going to do? Interesting.
Oh, wow. I was not expecting that. That is the weirdest thing you could have said.
Oh, there's more. I'm giving you the G version, but yeah, it's cool. But wait,
we're the Duchesses of Fuck. What do you mean the G version?
Who's the Duchess of Fuck? Who is she? Boo boo.
I think we should start a band called the Duchesses of Fuck. Me and Jenny can't sing, but you can do all of it, and we'll just dance in the background.
My producer Mike Del Rio and I, he came up with this hilarious side project name for us called Dyke Van Dyck.
Ooh, I like this. I would be into all of that.